And not since the assassination of Martin Luther King in 1968 have we witnessed such widespread racial turbulence.
What's at stake here is the very soul of this nation and who embodies it. No one gets to sit on the sidelines anymore.
The death of George Floyd has caused Americans nationwide to speak up about racism. This does not limit the voices of sickle students. As the new generation soon to enter the workforce, students have found many ways to make themselves feel heard during this time.
I haven't taken to any social media. Personally, I've been doing a lot of petitions and things like that. My parents wouldn't allow me to protest, but I've definitely kept myself in the know of things that are happening.
I'm using social media because that's the best way for me personally to reach out to the most people. So I'm posting things to explain to people what they can do to make a difference.
I've been talking to a lot of people, educating myself on the situations. I can't physically go out and protest, but I can share my word about it and talk about it.
I try my best to contact my family, talk to them, educate them, as well as let them educate me. I'm not fazed with the factors that come with being a person of color. I think any little thing that we can do to help them is valuable.
The discrimination and oppression of different people in general has become something so natural. It's something that you read about, it's in movies, it's in music that we listen to every day. It's not being taken seriously, it's just becoming common culture.
The jokes that people make, the stereotypes, saying the N-word, those type of things that even I've let slide before, but I don't think we should because those words really can impact somebody.
I see a whole bunch of diversity at sickles, and I feel like everyone should feel welcomed and feel equal and feel like their voice matters.
At the end of the day, we are a school. It's a place where we are there to be educated and learn new things, but everyone wants to feel safe and accepted, regardless of your race. I think that just being aware of what's happening in the world really helps you connect with everyone around you and just makes you a well-rounded human overall.
Although the Civil Rights Act was passed in 1964, many students seem to agree that there is still a ways to go until this country achieves true racial equality. While this issue is big, change can start at our own school. I'm Anya Mather for The Legend.
Due to the most recent case of police brutality resulting in the death of George Floyd, many Americans are taking part in protests throughout the country. Once again, the scourge of racism is threatening the unity of American people. In this segment, we felt it was important to discuss one aspect of racism in today's society. Merriam-Webster defines racism as a racial prejudice or discrimination. Many people have felt the effects of racism in multiple areas of life. One place with which racial inequality is frequently associated is the United States legal system. A paper published by the Sentencing Project on their website presents the differing federal sentencing laws of powder cocaine and crack cocaine as an example of this inequality. For powder cocaine, a conviction of possession with intent to distribute carries a 5-year sentence for the quantities of 500 grams or more. But for crack, a conviction of possession with the intent to distribute carries a 5-year sentence for only 5 grams. It also says approximately 2/3 of crack users are white or Hispanic. Yet the vast majority of persons convicted of a possession in federal courts in 1994 were African American. The results of the combined difference in the sentencing laws and racial disparity is that black men and women are serving longer prison sentences than white men and women. This is just one of the many centrifugal forces that continues to drive the American people apart. Christian Barrios, Sickles TV, signing off.
As U.S. citizens continue to protest racism and police brutality, people have started to question the ethics and training taught in the police system. While some defend the police, others believe in dismantling the force altogether. The Sickles community finds themselves analyzing the impacts of these protests and the police force's response on how they view officers.
I don't agree with the system at all, but I think that there are good people within the system.
There is definitely a problem, just not all of them are the same.
If someone does something now, America can see it.
You post a video of a cop, kneeling with the protesters, but then I see 10 videos of cops shoving people and arresting people, then obviously the system is still wrong.
You know, if I would have done something here like that, you better believe that Sheriff Cronister would have, you know, I would be fired. I would be brought up on charges. But you have to be calm sometimes, a lot of times, all the time, pretty much, you know, because, you know, people are going to, you know, piss you off. But, you know, you can't arrest people for pissing off the police. You know, you just have to take it and move on. You can educate someone without writing a citation, or, you know, if it's something that's very minor, you don't have to take everybody to jail.
I know those cops who would hurt people for not doing anything are the ones who have the issues, you know, the ones that need to be like charged for.
I think consequences need to be made even if they are police officers.
Debates on the ethics of police departments around the country rage on, and we're starting to see some changes, both within the police system and in the minds of our citizens. The pros and cons of the ACAB movement prove to be more complicated than they seem. Make sure to stay educated. From The Legend, I'm Jocelyn Pritchard.
The recent murder of George Floyd at the hands of a police officer has sparked national outrage. The Black Lives Matter movement has become very prevalent in the media as a result. Protests have erupted throughout the country, fighting against police brutality and in favor of this movement. Many people have shown interest in wanting to support this movement in other ways than protesting as well. Countless petitions have been created in order to support the Black Lives Matter movement, end police brutality, and get justice for victims. If you're interested in signing these petitions, they can be found online. You can also contact numbers to get access to them. If you're interested in speaking with a political leader or a member of a police department, you can also contact their numbers or emails. Another way to help is through donating. There are many organizations that, if donated to, support the Black Lives Matter movement, African American rights, an end to police brutality, justice for victims, bailing innocent protesters, and more. There are even videos on YouTube that, if watched all the way through, automatically donate to these organizations. Another way to support the movement is by staying educated and spreading awareness. There are websites, books, documentaries, podcasts, and more that people are looking into in order to understand what's going on and why. Anybody can encourage others to do the same in order to gain more support and understanding of the movement. It's mostly understood that these issues don't just go away when they stop trending. A long-term way people are working to gain equality in our country is by making everyday changes in their lives and speaking up against racism when possible. Many people are showing support to local businesses during these times as well. This is especially true for Black-owned businesses because it is a way to give back to the Black community and help them out. There are forms of peaceful protest going on. One of the biggest ones is Blackout Day, which takes place on July 7th this year. This is in support of the Black Lives Matter movement, and its purpose is to show the power that people hold when they stand united. For those that do decide to still go out and protest, there are many resources that can be looked into to find out how to do so safely. It is clear there are many ways people are able to speak up and help make a difference in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm Tara Gray, reporting for The Legend.
Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough!
So yes, I went out and protested, and some of the safety measures that I took was, first of all, wearing a mask. I wore a bandana that covered my nose and mouth, and also I tried to maintain as much distance as possible, even though it was kind of hard because of the extremely huge crowd. I tried my best to stay 6 feet apart from everyone.
My friends and I, they brought water with mixed with baking soda. If we were to get tear gas or maced or anything, water with baking soda is like a solution, and it would help us. I brought my mask. Every one of my friends brought their mask, and also staying safe is not trying to like aggravate the police, which no one did.
To stay safe at the protests, it's really important to wear a mask because Corona is still a big threat, and we need to make sure that we're keeping ourselves and our fellow protesters safe. There will be people with water and sunscreen there, but it's still good to bring your own. To make sure to wear something that covers your face, and maybe like big sunglasses or a hat, something that covers like your brow bone so that you aren't easily identifiable.
Hey, I'm Miranda Watkins.
I am Grayson.
My name is Zion Vick. My name is Faith Marie McHenry. I just want to say that it's been crazy to see how many people are involved with wanting to create change after the murder of George Floyd.
When the video first got out and everyone was like reposting it and just like watching it, I could not watch it because I knew what the video was.
Constantly, whenever I just go on my phone or I just turn on the TV, there's someone who looks like me, or my dad, or my uncle, or my grandma, who's been murdered by the police.
I can recall instances like these being as young as 10 years old, watching the protests that ignited after Trayvon Martin was killed by George Zimmerman.
Racism is built within this country. It is not only a few racist people that just hate minorities. It is a system that we need to dismantle.
The fact that George Floyd was compliant and he still died, it just makes me wonder, what is it gonna take for me not to die because of my skin color?
So much of history has been tragic because people acted on fear instead of love.
Seeing the amount of people who are protesting, who are signing petitions, sharing them, holding people accountable, it's amazing to see that now in this country we're finally starting to have that very uncomfortable conversation about race.
I remember all the excuses that were made in order to justify why a teenage black boy would need to be killed. People saying things like he was dangerous, he could have been a threat, it was dark outside, he was wearing a hoodie.
You see people at peaceful protests getting shot at and getting killed. A woman suffered a miscarriage because she had a rubber bullet shot in her stomach. Her baby wasn't even born yet, and he's already a victim of police brutality.
Although it's painful to see friends stay completely silent on the issue and seeing people say that this is not a real issue, although that's extremely painful to see, I am still hopeful that real change will come. This cannot be ignored.